Well, it's probably not a surprise at this point, but Enzo Fernandez wants to go to Real Madrid. Clearly, this is the international break tour where Enzo Fernandez does the classic player away from their club on international break, talks too much, lets things slip, and he has pretty much said, I want to go to Madrid. I want to go and live in Madrid, laughing when they're asking about which club he wants to go and play for on the stream. I mean, it's not surprising. I'm going to give you my thoughts on this, on, how the project has failed Enzo Fernandez, how this looks on the sporting directors, and as miserable as it is as a Chelsea fan to experience this, there is a little bit of schadenfreude just knowing how the sporting directors are going to have to, take this, basically, because this is ultimately the fruits of their labor. They're reaping what they sow. They've created a team where one of their main poster boys is essentially going around saying, I'd love to go and live in Madrid. I will see if I'm at Chelsea next season. And it's making them look like a couple of dummies. Yeah? This is what happens. This is what happens. We're going to react to the situation with Enzo Fernandez in today's video, but, also react to the away kit that's been leaked for next season. And it's fascinating how people have got complete, it's what people in the UK would say is Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. Excuse me. I'm probably down the middle. I actually quite like it, but we're going to get into it and have a look at the kit, speak about Enzo, speak about how the sporting directors are going to deal with their World Cup winner, superstar. Pretty much, it feels like just giving up on them and Chelsea, which, by the way, as much as many Chelsea fans understand, how they're not surprised he feels like this, it doesn't necessarily mean you should behave like this. That's my opinion anyway, considering he has been selected as a leader, as the vice captain. I mean, obviously someone like Reece James, he would never, ever, ever do this. Of course, Chelsea could go down to the championship. I think, well, I don't know about that, but Chelsea could fall into proper obscurity and mediocrity, and Reece James would stay. And he is Chelsea through and through. He's the captain. He's an academy graduate. Enzo Fernandez is none of those things, so you could say he doesn't owe Chelsea anything, but he was still given this vice captaincy, and that just makes the sporting hierarchy and the management look even more muggy to me. I must say, it's not a great look on anyone, this, and I include Enzo Fernandez in that. But we're gonna start on the kits in just a moment. Anyway, welcome back, gang. How you all doing? I hope you're enjoying a nice international break. You don't have to think about club football in Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea women got a good win yesterday. A needed win against Aston Villa with a late winner. It's quite an exciting 4-3 match in the end. So there's still a bit of Chelsea sprinkled in there. I watched a miserably boring England match, but of course with a sort of positive Cole Palmer cameo, which was nice to see. And of course, Monday the 30th of March at time of recording, we are now in the week where we play Port Vale, I think, obviously this weekend, so sort of kind of football's right. Yeah, Saturday the 4th of April. So yeah, not long now, man. Not long now for Chelsea to be playing football again. Be very. It's an interesting game to play Port Vale, and probably won't learn anything. Should beat them. Should get to a semi-final at Wembley in the FA Cup. But the Manchester games will be where we will learn a lot about where everything is, how dedicated players are to the cause. Is Enzo Fernandez going to be wearing the captain's armband when he probably won't play against Port Vale, but say the Man City game, will he come out in the captain's armband? Or will it be, for example, a Moises Caicedo, who has recently said, not, I want to go and live in Madrid, but I want to become a Chelsea legend? Do we get annihilated and embarrassed by Man City to the point where everyone loses 100% hope, and then the protest outside Stamford Bridge on the 18th against Man United is a little bit more spicy? Does feel like we're about to, enter some sort of real intense period. Or who knows, maybe the B team absolutely destroy Port Vale. We somehow slap up Man City. Enzo Fernandez does I'm staying again, which I wouldn't believe. But, maybe Cole Palmer scores some goals and everyone seems happy. Who knows? Let's get into it. So let's take a look at this kit then. This is on Cy Phillips's Chelsea.news, Chelsea News website. There's been a leak. So this is the away kit for next season. Now, black and gold for me is always quite a nice thing for a Chelsea away kit. It looks almost like a bit like with these patterns on the sleeve and collar, you'll see, like almost like a bit like Greek or Roman or something. Do you know what I mean? Like with the sort of weird, like leafy things. We knew this badge was going to be the case on the away kit. I quite like the trim down the flanks, the gold trim, and on the shoulders. I don't even mind the sleeves, but I think around the collar, that pattern might be a little bit too much. I think perhaps had it been like just the lines and around like the sides and the top of the shoulders, that would have been a lot more appropriate. I'd like to see it on a player. I mean, the models are always helpful to see what it looks like on a person over than like a mannequin, which sometimes really just sort of stretches it out and you don't really understand how the kit looks sitting on like a person. But the shorts look cool. I think the gold badge there, Nike swoosh. Apparently it's not a tick, it's a swoosh. But yeah, here we go. So that's it. So it's divided opinion. Real. I think a lot of people go, wow, that looks dope. It's funny how it really, really, really has divided opinion. I've read some people saying, "Wow, we're never going to get any nice kits under Nike. Bring back Adidas." I've seen some people say, "Yeah, it's a nice kit, but we've got bigger problems at Chelsea at the moment." Like kit divergence. I mean, me personally, I've quite liked a lot of the kits recently. Of course, behind the green screen behind me, I've got a bunch of kits hung up on a rail, some I put in rotation. A lot of them I bought quite recently without the sponsors. Some of them, I quite liked. So I do like some of the kits. I mean, I do think it looks nice. Like, I can imagine a Stevau in that looking pretty cool doing a photo shoot. In fact, when you imagine like some of the Chelsea players, I think it is a cool look. I do like the old school, just the lion crest, and I do like black and gold generally. I do think it would look pretty cool. I think maybe the collar, I don't mind the arm trim pattern, but I think around the collar is just a little bit much for me personally. But I'll be really interested to hear what you guys think about the new kit, because it's cool, isn't it? Or is it bad? I probably like it more than I dislike it. But I'll be very keen to learn what you guys think. So do leave your thoughts down in the comment section on the new kit, and let's move on and speak about this Enzo situation in a little bit more detail. Alrighty, let's read this and actually check this out. Yeah, but on footballtransfers.com, Robin Banner, I want to move to Madrid. I mean, it's definitive. He wants out. I mean, he could still, in theory, be trying to navigate and negotiate his way to an improved contract terms. We know that. Enzo Fernandez, from multiple reports, wants a better contract at Chelsea. He thinks he's this Galactico superstar that Real Madrid would want, and maybe they do. His numbers have improved, goals and assists. He knows he's wearing the vice-captain's armband, or, the captain's armband most of the time now, well, a lot of the time, and it will be most of the time in Reece's absence. I think that's, rather than necessarily a reason to demand more money, I think that's a privilege at a big football club. A privilege which, by the way, he's kind of disrespecting, in my opinion, at the moment. That's how I feel. Of course, everyone will think differently about this. Well, maybe not. Maybe there'll be slight differing opinions. But, he will argue, obviously, he joined Chelsea. He's got better as a player, I would argue. I think that's pretty much true. And then, of course, there's the last season trophy wins, And he will probably, I'm guessing here, but he will probably say, well, I really like, we know he loved Maresca. I keep saying him and Cucurella were the closest sort of deputies to Enzo Maresca. They were the two most hurt by his absence. I think Cucurella is settled and loves Chelsea, and he's not agitating for a move. Enzo is, but Enzo might be adding to his cause, to his pitch. You promised me this project. You've sacked a guy that I liked, that we won under. Why should I stay? Unless you offer me more money. Maybe he's on that thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe he's like, well, if you give me more money in the contract, then I will look past all of this negative stuff that I really don't appreciate. But Robin Berner of Football Transfers writes the following: Chelsea midfielder has dropped a fresh hint that he could be on his way out of Stamford Bridge this summer, stating his dream is to move to Real Madrid. Yeah? He thinks it's bueno, mate. I mean, I've never been, but I hear it is lovely. Enzo has been unsettled at Chelsea for several months, despite playing to a high level for Enzo Maresca and then Liam Rosenior. Real Madrid have been one of the sides most regularly linked to the Argentine, who has now suggested he wants a switch to the Bernabeu that's appealing to him. His current estimated value is 82 million euros. More than that. That's only like, what, 75 million quid? Which, by the way, what would his book value be now? Because he's been at Chelsea over 3 years, is that right? Was it 3 years in January? So 105 million, it does go down quite a lot, but then, yeah. I mean, his book value is probably like 85 million pounds or something. I don't know, I'm sort of guessing there. Enzo Fernandez Real Madrid flirtation continues. Fernandez was asked which city he would most like to live in during an interview, as like a live stream, with Marcos Giles for Kick via Infobay, apparently. So he was asked, and he indicated, by indicated, they mean he directly said that he would want a move to Madrid. That would be his dream. The 25-year-old Chelsea midfielder explained, I really like Madrid. It's similar to Buenos Aires, of course, in Argentina. Buenos Aires is like very Spain. You know, it's very Spanish-esque place. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels more Spain than South American. I mean, again, I haven't been, but culturally I'm informed. He was then asked about the clubs he could play for, but refused to be drawn on that question, simply smiling instead. Even though he'd probably be a really amazing Atletico Madrid player, if you've got a choice out of the two, it's Real Madrid. I mean, it's Real Madrid, isn't it? They've wanted to rebuild the midfield, the Modric, Kroos, Casemiro, trio that never really was replaced. Fede can pop in there. Tchouaméni and Camavinga never really have done it. Jude Bellingham's more of like a false nine, proper cam, than like a functional midfielder. Like Enzo could be one of those. He could play in any of those three positions for Real Madrid in terms of how they play. I've said it before, he feels Real Madrid, doesn't he? Like the big shiny white teeth, the tattoos, sort of like good-looking Galactico. He's got a bit of the Sergio Ramos about him. He's got the sort of cultured passing ability that they love out there. He's, the South American sort of dogged fighting stuff while being a bit of a superstar. It does. I mean, he'd suit Atletico Madrid as well, but I think he's got the flashiness for Real Madrid. Now, I'm not trying to sell Real Madrid, one of our best players. It's the same situation. He's a really good player. He's probably not in our top 3 players, I'd say. I'd say like Reece James, Cole Palmer, Caicedo. But he's in a top 5 players, you'd say. Maybe Estevao will like rank him down eventually, and who knows, João Pedro might push him down eventually if João Pedro kicks on. But he's one of our better players, that is unarguable. But I've always said here on the channel, it's always been spoken about how it just feels like this one could happen, and it looks like he's trying to engineer it. There's no other way. Let's keep reading on. Enzo was more forthcoming when he admitted that he would one day like to return to Argentina to play for River Plate, and simply not to wind down before retirement. It's Lukaku. Lukaku all over again. He wanted to go back to Inter while he's still in his prime. When he was at the Chelsea Sky Italia interview, it's the same thing. Yeah, I want to go back while I'm still good, while I'm still young. I want to go back, and I want to go back in good shape. So I don't know, what's good shape these days? Well, you can be really good when you're like 30 still, but that's only 5 years. So maybe he's like, right, I'll leave Chelsea now to go Real Madrid for 5 years, win a couple of La Ligas and Champions Leagues with Real Madrid, and then I'll go back 30 to 32 and play for a few more years into my late 30s in Argentina. So it writes here, this goes on the article, Enzo is openly pushing for a Chelsea exit, while he's still 6 years left on his Chelsea deal. The possibility of him leaving for Real Madrid is one that seems to increase every single week. Multiple reports have indicated he could leave the club if they qualify to fail for the Champions League. I mean, look, we still have to sell him here. 6 years left. We still have to be like, I mean, I'm getting increasing vibes that he might kick up a fuss. He might be that kind of player. We'll speak about all of the... Let me finish this. I'll tell you my thoughts on it. Of course, after the PSG game, he says he doesn't know if he'll be at Chelsea next season. He says, look, let's just get these games out of the way and we'll see, yeah. TalkSport has reported Enzo sees the possibility of Real Madrid as a dream, quote, outcome and is actively exploring options that will take him to Spain. Enzo's latest comments will only fuel the suggestion. Right. The ways to look at this, gang, would be... Firstly, can you fully blame him? Because he's a winner. He is a winner. That's not up for dispute. He wants to win. He's devastated when he doesn't win. And are we winning right now? No, we're losing, and players are looking bereft. So can you blame him for thinking about leaving Chelsea to going to the best team in the world? I literally just spat on my monitor. Hold on, let me just wipe that down. Okay, yeah, okay. Can you blame him for that? No. I'd say no. I think he was probably sold a dream by these sporting directors. I've been joking these last sort of 3 or 4 years that we're convincing, Enzo Fernandez to come to Chelsea over Real Madrid, who, by the way, were interested in him from Benfica. Caicedo, who Liverpool agreed £111 million for him to sign. He chose Chelsea. Cole Palmer wasn't a high-profile superstar at the time, but Stevao and, I don't know, other players that were everyone agreeing to join Chelsea on not massive wages. The low age thing. So they were being sold a project, yeah. More than anything else. I always used to joke, they obviously have some, amazing effing, PowerPoint somewhere that they just show the agents, and they go, wow, that looks amazing, I don't know what the hell was in this PowerPoint, bro, but, people, they were just convincing players to join Chelsea. And they did, and now they're starting to see that PowerPoint presentation as a nonsense. So can you blame him for feeling disillusioned? Absolutely not. Does he have a responsibility as a Chelsea player, contracted and paid by Chelsea, to not behave like this in public and do it in the background with your employers? And your agents? Yes. Is it made even worse if you've been given and you accept the captain's armband? That's when it becomes really bad. That's when it becomes really bad, in my opinion. Because Enzo, Chelsea gave him the captain's armband after the controversy with the Argentine national team, with the live stream with the racist not chanting songs or whatever it is for France. They sort of gave him the benefit of the doubt, saying it was due to lack of education. He's a young guy. It's a cultural thing. They all need to learn that it's wrong, and he did apologise. And Wesley Fofana, who was the most upset about it, he says, I don't want Enzo to lose money because he did a press conference, Fofana, if you remember, because they spoke about Enzo Fernandez donating money to a charity. He said, I don't want my teammate to lose money. It's great that he's doing that. It's about culture. It's about learning. And look, that was the whole team bus singing, and it was only Fernandez who caught the crossfire from that, because he was the one live streaming on his Instagram. I don't think he was like, oh, let's live stream this song. I think he was like, let's live stream the celebrations. And as a naive kid, of which he was ultimately publishing something that was, highly inappropriate. Yeah, that's what was happening there. Julian Alvarez and other like high-profile Argentinians were on that bus that just managed to like get away with it, basically. But Enzo, it was an inappropriate and bad thing to do, was caught up on it. But Chelsea navigated it through the media, helped him, and then he got the captain's armband. They had this for the vice captain and was wearing it all the time, of course, in Reece James's constant absence. So they looked after him there, and I think because of wearing the captain's armband, it's a very bad look for Enzo Fernandez. We've had players agitate for moves to Real Madrid before. The best way it was ever done was with Eden Hazard. I knew for years before he left that he wanted to go to Real Madrid. I had someone who was close to Eden inform me that, and it broke my heart, and I still just hoped he'd somehow stay and not get his dream move to Real Madrid, and like it wouldn't materialise and he'd still have a nice time at Chelsea. But no, it didn't work out, of course, for Hazard, for injury reasons, whatever, but he doesn't regret going because it was his dream. But he did it, I think this is goodbye, man of the match performance in a European final, beating Arsenal. It was the best way to go. Then you got Thibaut Courtois, who I think is the best goalkeeper in the world, and we've never replaced him. I don't hate him. I thoroughly dislike him, how he treated Chelsea, but he snaked Chelsea to go to Real Madrid, and I'm sort of getting not similar vibes, because obviously Thibaut Courtois was leaving an amazing Chelsea team that could compete. And perhaps we didn't lie to him with a project. In fact, he kind of lied to us, because he sort of inferred that he'd signed a new contract and then just refused to turn up the pre-season. So that's top tier snaking from Thibaut Courtois. That's why he still gets all the treatment. When Chelsea play Real Madrid, he still gets all the treatment from Chelsea fans. I'm not going to say all there. Thibaut, you're something. Thibaut, you're something. You can fill in the blank. Anyway, he gets all that from the Chelsea fans. Now, it's a shit, but he never wore the captain's armband, Thibaut Courtois. I think it's a really poor look from Enzo Fernandez. What do you do? If you're the sporting directors, if you'd say, right, take the armband off him, absolutely right now. I've seen some on social media, the Reece James quotes, if you're not willing to carry the bricks, then you're not worth building with. Fernandez is clearly not willing to carry the bricks anymore in terms of his statements and how he's been behaving. So, the sporting directors what do? Do they pretend it's not happening? Keep trying to, give him, keep it sweet and, keep the captain's armband. Oh, we're going to make some big signings in the summer. Everything's going to be all right. Pretend nothing's happening. La, 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 la. Dog and burning house meme. This is fine. Do they say, no, you don't, mate. You don't behave like this. After we helped you in the, that controversial summer and gave you the armband, you do not go around saying stuff like this. You're gonna sit in the bench, mate. They could. I mean, if this was a really ruthless club, they'd bench him for big games. They'd take the captaincy, and they'd be like, yeah, you're not gonna be warm for the World Cup with Argentina, mate, because you've behaved like this. There'll be some clubs that treat him like that. Or just a little bit in between, just take the Caicedo just suddenly on the pitch with the captain's armband and not Enzo. And, they don't make a big statement about it. But then all of this negative stuff just kills the relationship regardless. Well, he's done. He doesn't want to be here. We're not going to let him play. We'll have to sell him to Real Madrid in the summer. Either way, it's a bad look. I mean, maybe he comes out and says, look, it means nothing. I love being at Chelsea. Living in Madrid, I just like the idea of the weather or something, and then signs a new deal and never speaks about Real Madrid again. And he's like, I just wanted a new contract and let's move on and let's win trophies with Chelsea. Honestly, I find that quite like a minimum chance of happening now. I do feel like he's just going to go. But one thing's for sure, it is a bad look for the sporting directors, and the sort of the ownership as a whole. And I must say, eat it, mate. This is what you've built. I hope it doesn't. I hope loads of other players don't follow. But you know, they'll have to. Many of you guys will be like, well, we can go, and he's not that great anyway, and we can. A lot of people think Fernandez is eminently replaceable for not crazy money. Like, they recognize he's a good player, good output, you know, tries on the pitch, runs a lot, but, you know, for the way we play now in the midfield balance, we can replace him with something else that might make us better. A lot of people will say that. And maybe it's true. Regardless, the huge top main bit is the optics, how bad it looks on the club and the sporting directors. And honestly, man, it looks really bad on Enzo Fernandez. And it makes me, as a Chelsea fan, feel kind of the same way as what Thibaut Courtois did. Not Eden Hazard, but it feels like it kind of is happening again a little bit. Yeah, man, it's heavy sugar, I must say. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, gang. Leave them down in the comment section below. As far as I'm concerned, if he wants to go. You know, bring up the Reece James quote about if they're not willing to carry the bricks, yada yada yada. But of course, hopefully this is a sobering wake-up call for the club and sporting directors. Of course, there's huge fan discontent at the moment, and there's player discontent now as well. And you know, it looks like it's crumbling in your hands. This is on you, you silly knobbers. Anyway, look, I'll be back every day. Keep it locked to Football Therapy. I hope to see you guys back here soon. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy what's left of international football.